Well, hello, YouTube, and thank you for joining me today. It is great to be in your presence as I am so happy to get away from the chessboard. I just lost a game that I should have won, a game that I played with a former friend. No, I mean, he really is my friend, but man, did he mop me up and down the board. Well, I guess that's what you get when you play someone that has a rating of 2300. I mean, you only have a rating of 2150. Well, about 2150. That's right. It's been so long since I have competed when it comes to chess. Anyway, that was my last rating, 15 so years ago. Yeah, anyway, it really bothers me. So I'm going to shake it off by having a conversation with you. So thank you for joining me today. I appreciate your time. Let's talk about guilt and racial bigotry, or guilt and racism. So where to begin? Guilt, that not so little voice that tells you that you are not living up to your values, is amazing in its ability to paralyze another. When you break the code of behavior you have crafted for yourself, it can be a mess to clean up. I am of the mindset that many times guilt really is repressed anger. Now, to get this out of the way, I do not see guilt that lingers as a special type of guilt. It communicates to me that there is an issue in releasing that which troubles you. Outside of this, I have observed most guilt to be situation specific. You can think of it as a particular state of being that relates to your perceived misbehavior. I remember a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He reportedly stated, quote, "The Negro needs the white man to free him from his fears. The white man needs the Negro to free him from his guilt." End quote. It is obvious he is speaking from a collective position. From this position, I can see partial truth in this. However, since it truly is never a group function that derives from a group consciousness, then I would have to reject this comment as it boils down to individual function. You may disagree. I have seen the truth of this many times, the truth in his claim many times, even when observing the individual level. Now, anecdotal evidence is tricky. I am not asking you to accept my testimony as actuality. We should know that being opposed to comprehending complex data and variation across a continuum will only generate a warm, fuzzy feeling. Oh, how we do love our warm fuzzies. This is not the time for such. For the sake of producing an easier way to approach this, I will make one clarification. Many Western philosophies and religions I have examined appear to stress that emotions can have no objectivity. During intensive study of Taoism, certain ideas that relate to shamanistic practices, Kundalini yoga, etc., I have found that it is suggested that when free movement is not impeded between the conscious and the subconscious state, that the observer can observe itself. Now, I am about to water things down, but that is okay for our discussion. When this observation occurs, we are allowed to comprehend objectively such items that have been strictly regulated to a mind-dependent status. Using abstractions, we can see these emotions as having structures, as being a structure, having its own drives and integration into one's consciousness, which can then be examined objectively. Now, if I failed in my explanation, do understand that I apologize, and I will try to clarify things in the comment section, but I think I did a fairly decent job in watering it down. Now that we have addressed this, back to guilt and racial bigotry. For the purpose of our exchange, also know I am not addressing underlying feelings of worthlessness. This is yet another road to what we have traditionally defined as guilt. Part of the dysfunction I have observed repeatedly over several decades, so you have some frame of reference, is how people go about relating to those they deem to have little or no cultural similarities with, or those they separate themselves from due to internal biases regarding specific genetic constitution, which, for example, they may deem to be a factor in how one deals with perception. It does not stop here. We are about to address a segment of folk who are inspired to feign healthy interactions with those of a different ethnicity due to their need to do the right thing. However, they do the right thing because they do not want to feel guilty about doing the wrong thing. This, I think, has been very evident in an in-your-face way ever since Obama has been functioning as commander-in-chief. As it relates to ethnicity, why does it appear to be a popular concern that it will be revealed, that the reality of the situation will be revealed to others regarding how bad, emphasis on bad, that individual really appears to be or really is? Is it mainly due to fear of rejection? There may be something to this, as it is obvious to me, and I may be completely off base here, that political correctness works as it applies to supposed racial realities, because we are in fear of being judged by others, being judged incorrectly, or being humiliated and stigmatized. So, as a result, those who are struggling with guilt, attempt to reject and control their bad behavior, said bad behavior, instead of facing it, either being okay with being on the current socially accepted negative end of the spectrum, or swinging to the other side appears to be the popular choices. This appears to be part of the reason we have so much false interactions. Maybe that is due to people not being able to go to a place within themselves where they truly are okay with who they are. I often wonder, what would be required, generally speaking, for those who genuinely want to escape this racial bigotry but are too indoctrinated? Now, I'm not meaning to be offensive to the believers out there. There's no need for that. But it appears to me to be even more problematic when you are dealing with those who are tangling with religious beliefs. God would deem it bad if yada yada. God said yada yada. This is a very complex state of affairs when one takes an institution and its holy books, that which is deemed the Word of God, and integrate this into the very fabric of who they are. I would deem for those whose reality is such, it would be even more difficult not to struggle with a type of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde reality. They would be bound to being a servant to the requirement of doing the instructed right thing, because they do not want to feel guilty or miss out on the rewards in the reported afterlife about doing the wrong thing. Being black, some may wonder what my thoughts are on white guilt. I have addressed this and I will attach the video below. In short, I will say this. A man or woman is accountable for only that which he or she is responsible. Let's bring this back to people in general, not just whites. If you are actively, in full conscience, promoting a reality which oppresses others or inappropriately discriminates, then you have reason for shame. I do subscribe to this, which is more detailed. That which is beyond a person's consent and knowledge should not stain their character. That which is beyond one's consent and knowledge is beyond their moral accountability and moral responsibility. I think if guilt points you to a clearer comprehension of actuality, then why not see it as a challenge? Why not embrace it and learn from it and grow? If your objective is to free yourself from all forms of mental slavery, that is. Please do share your thoughts. Thank you for your time.